This is another 7 minutes on the Sabbath day. Thank you for listening if you are. This is my 20th video, and this just happens to be my birthday today. I'm 64 years old. It took me many years to finally come out and do this. But like I told you before, the time is so short. And I brought a friend with me today who's laying at my feet who is more conscious than people. A dog. Y'all all know dogs. You can urinate on a dog, you can starve a dog, you can beat a dog, you can just treat it terrible and it loves you the same. No matter how you treat it, because it's on such a high consciousness level, it knows that you don't know any better. And I believe if you spell dog backwards, you have God. It's amazing things when you start looking how everything's connected. But tonight I'd like to tell you a little story about my relationship with the Mormons. A few years back, before I ever started growing the beard, I had 4 Mormon missionaries come by my house. Hot summer day. I was home from Hawaii looking out after my mother in the summertime. I always spent the winters on the North Shore of Oahu surfing. But one summer I was there with my mother, and these 4 boys come by, and I'm very sympathetic to young Mormon missionaries, because they give up a lot for 2 years, and they're following what they've been told. Even though they might not have been told correctly, they follow and try to do the best they can. So they wanted to teach me the Book of Mormon, and I allowed them. But before I started learning the Book of Mormon, I made a deal with the oldest one. His name was Elder Ricks. If you're out there, Elder Ricks, tell them the story. You lived it. So I asked Elder Ricks that I would take the whole class, which is an hour a day, 1 day a week for 7 weeks. Once again, the number is 7. Everything relates to 7. But I told Elder Ricks that I would do it if he agreed to listen to what I told him for 15 minutes after the 7 hours. He shook my hand. He said, that's a fair deal. So I listened to the Book of Mormon. One part of the Book of Mormon, they believe they're a lost tribe of Israel that sailed a boat to Central America. Well, in the Book of Mormon, this is what it says. We beheld a large, spacious building floating in midair with windows all around and people pointing down from the windows at us. I looked at Elder Ricks. I said, you didn't build a boat at Elder Ricks. That was a spaceship that picked y'all up and took y'all across the Atlantic Ocean. And Elder Ricks looks at me because he thought it was a vision. Myth is real. But he looked at me and said, I guess anything is possible, huh? Right then. What a statement for a 20-year-old Mormon to say after he's been basically brainwashed since he popped out of the womb to believe what they want him to believe. Now that we're talking about the Mormons, look up Joseph Smith going into the cave. He went into the cave to get the golden tablets. He could read them. He couldn't take them out for nobody else to read them, and he couldn't bring anybody else in there to read them. Once again, one of these stories. One person reads it, and y'all supposed to have faith that he read it. But when he went into the cave, look in the Mormon archives, it said there was this thing in the corner that looked like a type of toad, and when he walked in, the thing rose straight up and turned right into a man. That's not me telling you fairy tales. This is in the Mormon archives. Go look it up. But it happened. So anyway, I took the 7 hours. Every week, I'd sit chairs in the yard, have Sprite, because they don't do caffeine. They have a lot of good things they do. But on the last day, I told Elder Ricks a few facts. That the Sabbath day is Saturday. I said, if y'all went to church on the real Sabbath day, I'd come by and check you out. But because you go on the total wrong day, Sunday, the first day of the week, not the 7th, I can't go to your church. Then I told him about Easter. Easter's named for the goddess Ishtar, the fertility goddess, the goddess of sex. Wake up. December 25th has nothing to do with the birth of who y'all call Jesus. He was not born then. He was born sometime in the spring. They know this from when Mary and Elizabeth both meet pregnant. It's a certain type of Hebrew feast or festival that's celebrated a certain time of the year. He couldn't have popped out at a month old. They didn't have the kind of care that we have now. But that's the truth. So I told Elder Ricks these things. And I asked him to go back to the people in charge at the big Mormon church nearby and prove me a liar. I took them to eat one day, all of them out to eat lunch at a beach where I live, a very sophisticated, powerful people beach. And we're all sitting in there eating, and they look at me and said, "Why is everybody staring at us?" I said, "Because on Wrightsville Beach, they haven't seen this much good in one spot in their lives." And they loved it. They just started laughing because they know it was true. Everybody's for who? Themselves. So anyway, I tell them to go talk to the guys in charge and prove me a liar. Said I'm working for the devil. I took y'all to eat lunch. I was nice to y'all just so I could deceive you. So the week goes by. They come back the next week with their heads hung down, walking up my driveway. They look kind of sad. I said, "What's up, guys?" "Everything you said was true." I said, "Yes." I said, "And you're a missionary trying to save these idiots, and you don't know this." And they were just flabbergasted. So the next week, the two younger guys come back, and the two older guys, the 20-year-olds, weren't with them. And I said, "Where are my friends at?" And they look at me and said they transferred them to Raleigh so they couldn't talk to you anymore. My. 20 years of brainwashing, I took a eraser and wiped that chalkboard clean, just with the truth. Just with the truth. And I asked the young guys, "What do you think about this?" And they said, "We don't understand. If their faith's so strong, why they got to transfer them out of town so they can't speak to me anymore?" Amazing. They went and questioned at their church. That's a no-no. You don't question. They could meet God or the real Jesus, but that don't matter. You don't question what they've taught you, no matter who tells you different. You don't question. So I always left for Hawaii on October 15th. That's when the big waves start basically coming to the North Shore. And I told them this while we were having our hourly meetings. So a month goes by. All of a sudden there's a knock at the door one day, and my mother comes in there. It was October the 14th. And my mother comes in there and says, "You're not going to believe who's standing out here." And I said, "Who?" She said, "The Mormons." But it was the two young guys with two older guys. And the older guy looks at me and wanted to take my picture with this very sophisticated looking camera. And they have cameras that can capture an aura. And I looked at this red-haired man from California, about 40 years old, and I said, "There's no way in hell you're taking my picture. Let me hug you." Now, why does this man that think I'm the devil want to hug me in the first place? Because they got a library out there, and they got the genealogical stuff. And they know there's certain people on earth that know these things, whose DNA is not quite like everybody else. And as I told you before, they're called the 7,000, the elect. Read your own book. And I believe that's who the tribulation is shortened for, the elect's sake. And as I told you before, I don't know what else to tell you, but I am one. My life has come to this point. I can't deny it. I've been told by a very high-ranking Freemason, but a week before he died, that I was one of the 7,000. And it's amazing to me that nobody wants to hear a thing I have to say. Even though we're the ones that the tribulation is going to be shortened for, that y'all might get a chance because of us, but y'all don't want to hear anything we have to say. Not one word, because it does not go along with your Christian Roman beliefs. Like I told you before, there's nothing wrong with being a real Christian. It's beautiful. But this fake Roman Pauline Christianity is got to go, because it's keeping you from the truth. That's all I'm going to say tonight, but just look up what I tell you. Free your mind.